This is Tom Fox. I'd like to welcome you to the newest addition to the Compliance Podcast Network, the Compliance Tip of the Day. This is the podcast where we bring you daily insights and practical advice on navigating the ever-evolving landscape of compliance requirements. Whether you're a seasoned compliance professional or just starting your journey, my aim in this podcast is to provide you with a bite-sized, actionable tip to help you stay on top of your compliance game. Join us as we explore the latest trends from the Department of Justice, share some best practices, demystify complex compliance issues to help keep your organization doing business ethically and in compliance, and at the end of the day, more profitably. Tune in daily for your dose of compliance wisdom. Let's make compliance a little less daunting, one tip at a time. Now a word from the sponsor of the Compliance Podcast Network, Ethico.
In compliance, the value of anonymous reporting is undeniable. But with Ethico, anonymity doesn't mean a loss of connection. Our blinded, two-way communication fosters an environment of trust and confidentiality, encouraging open and honest dialogue. It's not just about receiving reports. It's about understanding the story behind each one, creating a culture of integrity and respect. Transform your approach to anonymous reporting with Ethico. Begin your journey at ethico.com/CPN, where you can book a demo, access an exclusive white paper by Tom Fox titled The ROI of Compliance, and utilize our free ROI calculator.
Today, I'd like to take up the Fair Process Doctrine. We spent the last couple of days visiting about institutional justice and institutional fairness. Well, these come together in a doctrine called the Fair Process Doctrine. And the Fair Process Doctrine has been really well developed and really well studied, and it recognizes that fair processes, not arbitrary ones, involving individual rights, particularly at the workplace. Considerable research has shown that people are more willing to accept negative, unfavorable, and even non-preferred outcomes when they are arrived at by processes and procedures that are perceived as fair. You should incorporate the Fair Process Doctrine in your compliance program on a go-forward basis, because companies have finally begun to realize that both institutional justice and institutional fairness combined in the Fair Process Doctrine are really the most basic tenet of any successful workplace culture. If employees do not believe, or if employees rather believe they're being treated fairly and the process under which they work is fair, they will have a level of trust with their employers, and that will lead to not only a more successful workplace, but work day and more, frankly, better culture at your organization. The key is, though, that the processes themselves are seen as fair. This encompasses the entire life cycle of the employment relationship, from hiring through separation. It works in areas as seemingly disparate as compensation and incentives, discipline, promotion, and internal reporting. The DOJ has made clear that they expect the corporate compliance function to lead these efforts. And when you think about compliance really leading culture in an organization, you begin to see the importance of the Fair Process Doctrine. That is one of the reasons your policies and procedures are so critical, that they be adequately publicized, adequately trained on, and rigorously followed. If you do these, employees will more probably than not accept the results that are given to them, even frankly, if it's not something they wanted or desired. So the Fair Process Doctrine is key for your compliance program. So this month's sponsor of the Compliance Podcast Network, including this podcast, is Ethico. Have you ever wondered about the ROI of your compliance program, or had concerns with presenting budget proposals to your CFO? Well, I partnered with Ethico to write a white paper on the ROI of compliance and how you can think through compliance as an investment strategy. Ethico has put together a ROI calculator for you. Check them out on the website. This is Tom Fox again. This new podcast, Compliance Tip of the Day, will appear daily. And frankly, it's one of the most requested topics for a podcast that I get on a regular basis. It's going to be short and sweet with one tip with some takeaways that you can utilize to implement into your compliance program. If you've got a question that you would like a tip on, please submit them through our website, and we will use them in an upcoming episode. The compliance tip of the day is a production of the award-winning Compliance Podcast Network.